Steve, why do you think homeowners have such a negative perception of roofers?
I think where roofers got that reputation from is the door-to-door salesman factor.
Today I'm talking to Steve Cedar, who is the owner of Aspen Roofing here in Colorado Springs. Steve's been in the roofing industry for 41 years, so I would say he's a treasure chest of knowledge and information, and that's going to be important for the rest of this video. So my impression is that probably before 2000 to 2005, roofers mainly focused on, we're going to repair your roof. If you got a leak, we're going to figure out how to repair it. And roofs were replaced when they wore out. There wasn't this, we're going to replace our roof every 3 years because we had a hailstorm. Am I misinterpreting that? Or?
No, you're not misinterpreting that. There still was a segment of the population that if there was hail damaged roofs, they knew it and they wanted it kept in like new condition.
Right.
They were afraid of developing a leak in the roof.
Right.
So a lot of people didn't wait until the roof was leaking necessarily. A lot of people did. If you wait that long, there's additional damage to the property that's going to have to be repaired at that point. But it was a lot easier. People's deductibles were $100, $250. Yeah. The total amount of a claim for a 20-square roof might be $1,200. $55 a square is what was allowed on an insurance claim for a 3-tab asphalt shingle to tear off one layer, new felt paper underlayment, and new roof.
So to put it in perspective, today's numbers on an insurance claim typically is going to be roughly 10 times that amount.
Yeah, probably at least 10 times that amount. And that's driven by a lot of factors.
Right.
But there is this relationship between the number of insurance claims that occur and the frequency of them and the cost.
Humor me on this one. Imagine that you're a homeowner in 1985 and a guy knocks on your door and asks if he can give you a free roof inspection. What's the response?
I would have probably expected the response to be, inspect it for what?
Yeah, and maybe some suspicion about free. What's the catch? Right?
Yeah, it used to be a big thing. Our estimates are free. Free estimate to do the work, and that's almost I don't think anybody really advertises that the estimate is free anymore.
Right.
That's just kind of assumed thing. I don't know that there was ever a time when you did charge for an estimate. Now, an inspection is different than an estimate. An estimate would indicate you're seriously entertaining hiring someone to do the job, and you want an estimate to get the work done.
Right.
An inspection tells me you want a report from me that tells you what condition the item is in. And you may have a laundry list of reasons why you want an inspection report for your property.
Right.
But to me, that's two different things.
Right.
An inspection and an estimate are two different things.
How did we then, as an industry, get to free inspections for everybody?
I think what led to that was the eagerness and the competition by the sheer number of contractors is just amazing. What they call an inspection now is not necessarily what I would consider an inspection to be.
It's more just looking at the surface of the roof and seeing, is there hail damage?
Well, right. So I'll give you a verbal report of my inspection.
Right.
But a true inspection is going to involve a written report from the person doing the inspection.
See, I always compare it, go back to the electrician or go back to the plumber. If I call a plumber and ask him to come out and check my sewer line, he doesn't do that for free. It's $180 for him just to step inside my house. Why do we as roofers just willy-nilly give out free inspections. But to your point, it's because somebody started that somewhere, and then everybody else felt like they had to keep up. Do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Why they felt like they had to is beyond me. Oh, I don't want to call it overconfidence or cockiness, but the attitude in an electrician or a plumber is different than it is with a roofing contractor.
So
I think that the roofing contractor is more eager to do extra things for a property owner out of a sense of, if I don't do this, they won't hire me.
yeah,
Or they, there's more of a willingness to go the extra mile, do the extra little things when you're a roofing contractor. And I think part of that is born out of the bad reputation that our industry has suffered from for so long. The fly-by-night nature,
right.
the shady, here comes the shady roofing guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't look like he's driving, his vehicle doesn't look professional. He's not dressed professionally.
Well, so do you think that if like an electrician company or an HVAC company had a bunch of commission-only salespeople, do you think that those trades would start to look more like the roofing industry? Because that's kind of, I think that's how we've gotten where we are.
They would very much look like we do in one sense. You would see a lot of free inspections. You would see a lot of, we want to go that extra mile for you. We want to,
right.
Because of the desperate nature of my commission salesman isn't going to make any money if he doesn't make a sale.
Right.
So he overpromises things that he knows can't be delivered. And so we've already set up a scenario that has a strong potential for failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus a plumber, they're pretty straightforward. Here's the estimate. Here's what we can offer you. But you will find contractors in any trade, good ones and bad ones.
Right.
It's just a matter of doing a little bit of research.
Yeah.
And in today's world, with the internet, with the information age that we're in, you have every opportunity in the world to find out a lot about anyone that you're thinking about hiring.
To that point, back in the phone book days, that's all you had to go by, right? You didn't have Google reviews, you didn't have Yelp, you couldn't really do a whole lot of research.
Your research amounted to asking your neighbor if they knew who you were, or asking, they would want a recommendation. That's the other big missing key thing. People would ask for references.
Yeah.
Who have you worked for? And not only would they ask for that reference, they would contact that reference.
All right, so with that point, since our channel is all for the homeowner, that's one thing that I'm going to recommend to homeowners is do exactly what Steve just suggested. Get references, call those references, make sure that you're vetting the people, because just looking at Google reviews doesn't give you the whole picture.
Correct. Well, I think we both know Google ads you can purchase. When you're an established contractor and you're in good standing with the Better Business Bureau, your local building department is another excellent resource.
That's a good point.
Find out the licensing status of the contractor you're thinking about hiring.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Find out how long they've been doing business here.
With that name.
With that name in our town.
Right.
And do their families live here? Are their kids going to school here?
Yeah.
Do they buy groceries here? The point there, to get right to the heart of that, is my money from this job leaving the local economy? or is it going to continue to circulate and benefit our own local economy here?
Right. Yeah.
That's what makes us all better off.
Right.
And that's why every chance I get, I will do business with someone I know that's local.
Yeah, good point.
Doesn't mean I don't want them to have, that's not the one and only issue I'm looking for with them, but it is a big thing for me.
Right.
That I'm supporting my fellow local contractor in whatever it might be.
Steve, why do you think homeowners have such a negative perception of roofers?
Oh, I don't think that's anything new. That's existed for a long time. The roofing industry has always kind of been looked at as a fly-by-night. You're not quite as professional as the plumbing company or an electrician is. But I think when you dig down a little bit, you really find out that we are just as sophisticated and professional and knowledgeable as a plumber or an electrician or any other contractor that's engaged in a trade.
So why do you think that impression even exists, that roofers aren't like on that same level as some of the other trades?
I think where roofers got that reputation from is the door-to-door salesman factor in all of it. And that leads to the impression of unprofessionalism.
Yeah, can't think of a time when I've had a door-to-door electrician come knock on my door.
Yeah, right? I don't think I've had a desperate plumber show up looking for leaks either.
Okay, well, so now that kind of leads into this, right? Because if a homeowner has a plumbing problem, they know it, right? It's not typically like you're not going to have a plumber knock on your door and say, hey, do you want me to do a free plumbing inspection for you? And then he comes back with this full report. But that's kind of what's happening with the door-to-door roofers, is oftentimes they don't even know that there might be a problem. And then you've got a roofer coming down and saying, oh yeah, worst roof I've ever seen. You know, we've run into customers like that who have said, yeah, I had a roofer tell me this is the worst roof I've ever seen, and we get up there and it's hardly damaged at all. And to your point, we don't see that with the other trades, right?
That's very true. A lot of what goes wrong with a roof, number one, hail damage.
Yeah. And
the Front Range of Colorado is, if not the hail capital of the world, it's got to be close. And there are a lot of other telltale signs that maybe your roof is damaged. Maybe your car is damaged also. Yeah. Maybe you have broken windows. Your garden is shredded. These things are all indicators that there might be an additional problem. A roof is really easy to take for granted, in my mind, because as long as it's doing its job, what's its number one job? It's keeping the weather out of my structure, out of my house.
Right.
And until that roof starts leaking, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Not even thinking about it.
Not even thinking about it. The average person doesn't go up on their roof. Maybe in the fall they do to clean the gutters and hang Christmas lights.
Right.
In today's world, a lot of people have that done by others that charge a small fee to do that for them. So you have in today's world, I believe that the homeowner is a little less sophisticated and in tune with the condition of their property than homeowners from 30 or 40 years ago.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that
younger homeowners?
It's not just younger homeowners. It's people rely on different sources for things. 40 years ago, your average homeowner was more of a hands-on type of homeowner. And back then, a lot of homeowners fixed their own plumbing. They did their own electrical work, and they repaired their own roofs.
What do you think is the biggest negative development for homeowners related to roofers and the roofing industry that's happened in the last 20, 40 years?
I would say the increase in the amount of door-to-door sales is probably one of the biggest issues for the local guys like you and I to have to overcome and deal with. It's a high pressure, door-to-door salesman. Years ago, they would have had a vacuum cleaner or a set of encyclopedias with them, but nowadays it's an iPad with a sales pitch on it.
Right.
And a simple explanation, just write me a check for your deductible, and I'll handle all the rest of it.
Yep. Because I'm an insurance claims specialist. Yep.
If it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Yeah.
That's always been my experience in life.
Huh.
When someone is desperate or really wants to make a sale to you, a high-pressure salesman will promise, and delivering on those promises
impossible.
And almost impossible to have happen.
Right.
And I think they realize if they don't close that sale while they're at your door,
right,
their success rate on closing that sale goes way down. I'm in the low single digits.
That's why there's so much pressure to get that signature before they leave the house.
Correct.
And there's, as you know, conferences and sales trainings and seminars all designed to teach that specific thing.
Yes.
Here's how you get the signature before you leave the house.
Here's how you overcome every objection that they're going to have to wanting to sign that. Yeah. And the biggest thing that I could suggest is do your best. Don't allow yourself to be pressured into buying something. And I'm not saying that contractors like us are a dime a dozen, but there are a lot of choices in who you can hire as a contractor. And especially after a hailstorm, the vast majority of people do not have a leaking roof immediately afterwards. Time is your friend.
Right. Oh, that's a great point.
Take the time
is your friend.
To do a little bit of research. Yep. Time is your friend. A few years back, we had a really bad storm here that hit Cheyenne Mountain Zoo area. A lot of those neighborhoods were in a little bit more of a desperate situation. And I'm sure you did as well as we, sent our crews out into those neighborhoods to do a lot of emergency repairs.
Right.
Once that little emergency repair is over with, time is once again your friend.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. Back in the old days, back when you got started, what was the relationship like between roofers and insurance companies?
Non-existent.
Why?
Property owner handled the claims process with their insurance company. It was, as a roofing contractor, I knew what my expenses were. I knew I shouldn't say what the claim should have looked like. I knew what my estimate needed to look like.
Exactly right.
And it didn't matter what the claim looked like. Occasionally, an adjuster might have forgot something on the claim. And I will say, adjusters were a lot more professional back then. They were seasoned individuals that they knew the value of what the damaged item was.
Well, a lot of times they had a background in whatever.
Yeah, you're right about that too.
In the trades.
An insurance company would hire someone from the roofing industry to adjust roofing claims.
Right.
Because it would preempt that forgetfulness or even looking at a product and not knowing what it is. Homeowners were confident. The claim was easy for them to read and understand.
Right.
It was all straightforward. But if there was a need, there was no negotiation between the roofing contractor and the adjuster.
No arguing.
That happened between the property owner and the adjuster.
Right.
Or it happened between the property owner and you as the contractor.
Yeah.
Homeowners were a lot more frank with you, and they were a lot more savvy about understanding the workings of that business transaction.
Steve, what's the number one mistake that you see homeowners make with roofers?
Deposit money.
Yeah. Okay, unpack that.
Door-to-door salesman comes along. Well, I need that first part of your insurance claim check so that we can take care of materials and labor and
get you on the schedule.
And get you on the schedule and guarantee that we can keep things, moving along. There's unwarranted trust and that goes kind of hand in hand with that deposit money situation.
For our listeners in Colorado, but also for the benefit of people around the country, kind of explain the way Colorado does things as far regarding the deposit.
Well, several years back, Colorado passed what's called Senate Bill 38. And under Senate Bill 38, if you give deposit to your contractor, and this just isn't just a roofing contractor, this is any contractor, they have to agree to hold your money in separate from other general funds that they have and only use that money for your project.
Right.
That's an almost impossible task.
Right.
That would create a situation where every contractor has to have 100 different bank accounts.
Right.
In order to track it and trace it and keep it apart from one another like that. That's not where your money is going. It's going into the general fund of a contractor, and it's almost a guarantee that that money from you is paying for things for other projects.
Right.
So compliance of that is almost impossible.
So a better thing, in my mind, a better thing for a homeowner is hang on to that deposit check until you've got materials on your property.
At a very minimum, most legitimate, credible contractors now will accept payment when the job is finished.
Yeah.
We all have credit accounts with suppliers. We all have, it's not like it was 40 years ago. I had to go down to Hugh M. Woods or the lumber yard somewhere and physically purchase. I didn't have a credit account. I wrote a check to Hugh M. Woods for the shingles, the underlayment, the nails, all the materials that we needed for that job. So I'm out that money now, and there was a very legitimate reason back then for the deposit to exist. In today's world, that legitimate contractor like you and I are, we can withstand, we have established ourselves to where we have working capital to take care of labor expenses and permit fees and other expenses associated with the project.
So if you've got homeowners, if you have a roofer who's telling you, I need money up front so that I can go pay for the materials, that ought to be a big red flag. If he doesn't have credit established with a supplier, that should tell you something.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
What distinguishes a trustworthy roofer from one that's not trustworthy?
Well, I'm going to have to think hard on that one because I only hang out with trustworthy ones.
Oh, thank you. Workers' comp insurance.
Yeah, that's a good difference. Yeah, correct. Yeah, you are right about that. A contractor that's a good one is going to have things like workman's comp insurance. Their liability insurance is going to be in good standing.
Yeah. Why is workers' comp insurance important for a homeowner?
It guarantees the homeowner that they're not going to be sued by an injured worker, because that would be who's next in line. And I promise you, you're going to be involved in the lawsuit. I
remember one of the very first roofing association meetings that I came to here in El Paso County. Somebody was there who had described a situation that had just recently happened where a homeowner hired a roofing contractor with no workers' comp. None of the subcontractors had workers' comp, so nobody was covered, and a guy fell off the roof and broke his back. And the homeowner was on the hook to pay for the medical expenses.
That's correct.
Yeah. Big red flag. We talked about negative developments. What are some of the positive developments that have happened over the last 20 years in the roofing industry for the benefit of a homeowner?
For the benefit of the homeowner, roofers have become more professional than they were. That's one big advantage. When I say professional, in a lot of different ways, from the financial end of things to the way they present themselves, the way they advertise, that conduct. It's not hard for people to see the difference between somebody who's a serious professional and somebody who is doing this as a hobby on the weekends.
The typical, stereotypical chuck in a truck.
Well, or what you call a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
And I think that perception used to exist of roofers. Well, my roofer is my painter, he's my fence guy, he's my deck builder, he's my pool boy, he's my everything. Roofers really, in the beginning, were more of a handyman sort. They didn't really specialize in just roofing. The ability to do that and become just a roofer, that I don't have to be a roofer and a cider and a gutter guy and
That's a good point.
lightning rod guy. I can just be a roofer.
Yeah.
And if you're professional and you're good at what you do, you won't have a problem being that.
If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about the roofing industry right now, what would it be?
For the insurance companies to finish the process of handling the claim over to us as professionals.
Yeah.
We have this negotiation channel that the homeowner is kind of barely in the loop now as it is. I think it would streamline a lot of the claims that we have to work on now. Take 2 months, 3 months to settle things. That should be a 1 or 2 week process at the most, at the worst case scenario.
Well, and also the homeowner ends up getting stuck in the middle because you got an adjuster saying, well, it's the roofer's the problem. You know, they're not agreeing with what the claim is, and you got the roofer saying the adjuster's the problem because they're not including everything that needs to be in the claim. So the homeowner ends up getting the short end of the stick.
They really do. Like any business, they want to try to control costs.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's very easy for a homeowner or even for us as a contractor to have a personal bias towards individual adjusters out there. It's business. To them, it's business.
Yeah.
And you keep it business too.